Welcome to the Citizens Web Dialogue of the Jacques Delors Institute in partnership with Euractiv. Good morning, my name is Daniela Vincenti and I'm editor-in-chief at euractiv.com. I'm here with Enrico Letta, who is president of the Jacques Delors think tank, Jacques Delors Institute, I should say. And we're going to talk about future of Europe. 2016 will be remembered as a major turning point in the history of Europe. Terrorist attacks, Brexit, migration crisis, populism and nationalism are taking democracies everywhere by storm. And this week, Europe is starting a new political year. Tomorrow, President Juncker will deliver his State of the Union address in the European Parliament in Strasbourg. And later this week, the 27 heads of state and government will convene for the first time without the UK in a summit precisely to talk about the post-Brexit vote. So, any thoughts on that? Are we living an annus horribilis?
My first thought is about the fact that we are entering a third era of the European Union. The first one started in the 50s. The second one started around 89-91, so the fall of the Berlin Wall and the Treaty of the European Union. And then now we are entering the third era, the third phase of the European Union, and it is a cleavage, in my view, very, very important, because it's the period of the crisis. We were used to manage or to try to deal with the European economic and financial crisis. The European Union reacted too late, but reacted. But now we are with three main new crises in this annus horribilis, as you correctly said. Terrorism, migrant crisis, Brexit. With these four crises, the same attitude of the European Union, the lack of any toolbox ready. And this lack of any toolbox to react to this crisis, for the first crisis, for the European economic crisis, for instance, obliged the European Union to ask the IMF to come and to rescue Ireland. It was the first country on the program in 9. And because we were without any toolbox. And for these crises now, it is exactly the same. For Brexit, it is the first starting point of a long-term reaction, but no toolbox. But what is very bad is for migrant and terrorism too. We don't have toolbox. So I think we are entering a week that will be the first week of a new era. It is important to start, in my view, with enthusiasm, but also with big determination.
Okay, we'll get back to the toolboxes because I think you got us interested in your thinking there. Etienne asked a question. One of our chatter, if I can call them like that, asked earlier this week. Dear Mr. Letta, if you were Jean-Claude Juncker, what would be your main priority?
If I were Jean-Claude Juncker, I would work today, first of all, on one main mission, that is to raise the bar. I think it is very important to have in Bratislava not a business as usual reaction of the leaders. It is the first time that the leaders will meet after having lost one. The European Union was always an enlarging, successful process. For the first time, we are declining as numbers. This is why, please, don't react with the business as usual. And I think it should be the first big message of the President of the Commission. We turn to him because the President of the Commission is always, we are here in the Jacques Delors Institute, and of course we think of Jacques Delors, the most important President of the European Commission. The President of the European Commission is the leader in the dire straits periods, and this is why the big mission today of Jacques Delors, of Jean-Claude Juncker, is exactly to raise the bar and to say to the leaders, please leave the business as usual at home. We are here for extraordinary people, so we need extraordinary reactions.
He was a little bit visionary. When he took office, he said, this is the Commission of the last chance, if you remember. He had 2 years already, and we lost a member of the family. So do you think he actually, when he said it, he was able to convince leaders? Or he was still doing business as usual, as you say, and it will be very difficult for Mr. Juncker to depart from that business as usual, precisely?
You know, I think the main problem today is on many issues that are the issues of the crisis today. Terrorism, reaction to terrorism, how to deal with the migrant crisis, the worst migrant crisis ever around Europe. We need extraordinary tools. This is why I said the lack of any toolbox is the problem of the European Union. But it is not just the creativity of the Commission to have these tools. It is also the political will of the member states. And if the member states, they continue to think that and to say that migrants, home affairs, justice affairs, borders control is my task as member state, as nation, and please don't be on this dossier as European Union, as European Commission, no answers. Because the answers to these topics can be only European answers. If not, they are just ineffective answers, because these topics are global.
When you're actually asking for more European answers, are you... I mean, there are some calling for more Europe. It seems that it is your call there. Others for no Europe. Some others are calling for better Europe. What do we actually need?
I think we need more effective Europe. That is different. It is not a problem of ideology. It's not a problem of ideological fight. It's not... we need more effective Europe. That means European answers, able to be concrete answers to the main topics. The citizens are, we the citizens, we are concerned about our security against terrorism. We are concerned about the stability of our countries. We are concerned about the possibility to manage this big migrant crisis in effective way. When I say effective way, I say respecting human rights, so respecting refugees' human rights, and being Europeans, so not being not respecting our main values, and human rights are in the ADN of the European Union and European member states. But also effective. Effective means able to react, able to have relocations, able to, for instance, to have, when I say effective European answers, I say we can't continue with border control in the hands of just member states. We have to build a European border control guard coast or police frontier. I think it is very important with people with the
European flag.
Yes, the blue and the stars. I think it is important because it's the only way to give to our citizens the idea that we are dealing with the problem, but with the securitization of the borders and with the organization of the how to welcome refugees, refugees, so with the right to be welcomed in Europe, but in a correct way, without giving all the way to some countries or some regions. If you spread the problem, you can reach solutions. If not, it will be a devastating reaction of the citizens, the populism, that will block the European Union and that will create the big
Let me
problem.
ask you another question that one of our chatter has asked, which in a way is sort of a veiled criticism about how the EU has functioned up to now. He says, how to fight short-termism, which is damaging the EU and politics in general so badly?
You know,
Isn't that the kind of reaction to create a border control, which is just because we have a crisis, we do it, and it's not...
No, I think is border control, a united border control police is like the ESM on the euro. So we know that we need European tools, but the member states didn't want to give to the European institutions this kind of power. During the euro crisis, they were obliged, and then we built up the ESM, we built up the treaties on the fiscal stability, and so on and so forth. I think it is the same now for the migrant crisis, for the terrorism crisis. We need tools, European tools, because it's the only way to be effective. We need a European FBI, we need a European border control, and when I say more European effective reaction, answers, it is not for an ideological reason. It's just to be concrete in the answers. If we continue with these kind of situations out of any control of our authorities, I think the reaction of the people will be a very negative one, and they will say, I don't care about the responsible, national responsible, European responsible. For me, it is all the same. I will vote
you're
no.
basically saying, yes, we have been short-termists, if I can say so, when Italy, you're Italian, when Italy was confronted with that kind of refugee crisis, and we witnessed Lampedusa, which was the end result for Italy at the time, nobody really believed Italy that we needed to react. So when it comes, I want to take that and apply it to terrorism, for example. Now we see that actually we need to fight terrorism together. The tools need to be created as well there. Do you think we are on the way to creating those tools?
I think we are on the way.
Have we learned a lesson?
We are on the way. The registration of the airline passengers is one of these tools, but we have to go faster. I think the lesson of the European economic crisis is on timing of the decisions. We took, at the end of the day, the right decisions, some of the right decisions. We created the ESM. The ESM is a sort of European monetary fund. It's a place where solidarity works. We rescue countries in difficulty. But the big problem is that we created the ESM 4 years in delay. And in the 4 years between 8 and 12, the disaster happened. And I fear we are doing the same with terrorism and migrations. We are step by step being aware of the problem, of the need of European effective answers, but it is too slow, the path of the European member states.
Well taken. Now, there is a question. I want to go back a little bit to the institutional questions. Monique asked, can EU integration move on with both a core of member states and a Europe à la carte?
My feeling is that today institutions are not the most popular issue for the people. For the citizens, citizens are angry with European leaders, with the politicians, because of unemployment, the rise of unemployment, lack of growth. So it is important to focus on answers to the big issues of the citizens' life. But of course, institutions are important. And my idea on institutions after Brexit is that it's time to think eventually to this idea of the two-circle Europe. Because at the end of the day, I'm sure that we will be obliged, and I think it is correct, to find a way to be linked with the UK after Brexit. We have to create a sort of special relationship with them. And this is, in my view, the way to create a sort of second circle around the core Europe. The core Europe will be the euro area, first of all. And the big issue today, I hope also for the national elections in Italy in 18, but in Spain probably next year, in France and in Germany next year,
right,
in the Netherlands next year, is to be aware that we need leadership at the euro area level. Then we can and we have to discuss on a second circle, that is the circle around Europe. Today, the UK, not only the UK, there's the Switzerland issue. There are many other issues like Norway or others, Iceland. There are the enlargement countries today. I think the worst point of the post-Brexit, you know, I thought that Brexit was very bad, but the post-Brexit period was even worse. Because at the European level, the messages were terrible. One of these messages were, okay, now stop with enlargement. In my view, it is a very, very, very bad signal and not intelligent signal. You know, the Balkans.
It's defensive.
Yeah, it's defensive and not intelligent. From the Balkans came all the instability in all the wars in the last century, and the stability of the Balkans is decisive for the rest of Europe. And now we understood how stupid is to think to crisis out of the European borders as problems that we don't care. Look at Syria. It's far away. Look at the consequences of this approach. Today, I think, in my view, the Syrian crisis and the fact that the crisis is there since 3-4 years with million and million of refugees from there, I think Syria played a crucial role, and the big crisis in Syria, for Brexit, for instance. Because the Syrian refugees coming to Europe, the jungle of Calais, Cologne, and so on and so forth, Cologne, and so on and so forth, and the British voters, they saw all these images. For them, the polls are saying that migrations were the main topic of the referendum campaign. So the disaster in Syria had big consequences on European affairs. So I want to mention this point because stabilizing the Balkans and the stabilization of the Balkans, it is important for all of us. This is why to say stop, no more enlargements is a big mistake on that.
We'll go back to it, but I want to still stick to the institutional aspects. Last week we had EU-Med summit in Athens. It seems that the southern Mediterranean countries are creating some kind of coalition. We have the Visegrad. We're talking about a core and then a larger group, but it seems that actually there is a different kind of geometry happening in Europe. Do you think this is dividing, or it's actually creating a balance between the North and the South?
We are in a period of big fragmentation of the European political life. This fragmentation can be not negative only if the European institutions are strong. But I'm very much concerned because I see in this very period very weak European institutions because of the will of member states leaving them weak. And this is why I think all these kind of constituencies we are creating around Europe can play a positive role only if these constituencies work to strengthen European institutions. Look at the result of strong European institutions. The ECB. The central bank today is strong under, in my view, a great leadership. Super Mario, as we say, is not
Super
Balotelli,
Mario,
as they
yeah.
say in Nice today, but Super Mario, Mario Draghi. European vision, tools, brave decisions, and concrete effects. I think we have to thank the European Central Bank if we are out of the eye of the storm. We have to thank countries like mine. I come from Italy. Italy was rescued by the European Central Bank because of this very courageous, intelligent quantitative easing. That was what the Federal Reserve did in the US 6 months after the crisis. We was obliged to wait 5-6 years, and this is why the disaster. The US did it immediately. Now, I think Mario Draghi's leadership is showing us that strong European institutions are positive for member states. They're not negative. There is this fear of the strength of the European institutions by the member states. I think is a big mistake.
Well, let me get to Andre's question. Shouldn't a reform of EU institution move towards bicameralism? And then here we're reopening the Pandora box, because if it's an institutional question, you have to reopen the treaties. So the question is...
I think my point is that today we can work on concrete effects and with the present tools, present legal and constitutional tools. For instance, after Brexit, I expect to have a strong opportunity for strengthening the role of the European Parliament. Because the European Parliament was always under attack by the UK for many reasons. But the European Parliament has a strong legitimation. The legitimacy of being elected by the citizens with a vote, being there working in an exclusive task for the European Parliament, European affairs, I think it is very positive, very important, is a big legitimacy, and is a way to... So this is why I think, I don't know if bicameralism can be the way. I know that Brexit will bring many changes. I was against Brexit, but now Brexit happens. So we have to take the opportunities, and we have to open new pages, and this new era, this third era, can start, in my view, with a new life for the European Parliament.
But is it this community method still suitable today? Do we need to take other paths to reach a clear, reasonable objective to unify the continent? A different path than...
The European Union is always a union, a federation of member states. It is impossible to think that the European Union can be one day one state, or can be just a federation. Or the key point is to discuss with the citizens in my view, being very, very convincing by saying that we have European answers and European tools because at national level on these topics we are ineffective. Not because there's an ideology to destroy the nation state or the national sovereignty. I think it is very negative to go on this path. The path is we have to be effective, and we are more effective at European level on many issues because the threats are global, are Europeans, and we need European answers.
Okay. There is one question I wanted to go back when you said strengthening the European Parliament. There is one question by Maya who says, why the youth are not voting for the European elections?
I think Maya's right.
The problem we've seen also with Brexit, a lot of young people voted to remain, but very few young people vote for the European Parliament.
I think Maya's question is the very heart of the problem. And my answer is, I fear that there's a different degree of turnout, of participation in the different ages, because the youngsters, the young people can feel that politics is no more important for their life, for their concrete life, because they think that the true decision influencing their lives are coming from abroad, not from politics. And the people of 60s or 70s or 80s, they are more used to think that politics is important for their lives. My point is that, and this is what I usually say in my courses in Sciences Po at the university. My big mission is to really to convince the young students we have from all over the world, politics matters. Look at just two examples. Brexit happens because of a political decision, because the Prime Minister, in his own responsibility, decided to have a referendum, consultative referendum, on this issue, and not a process to decide in one way or in another way. His choice on the tool, a referendum, so one day, one shot, one kill, I would say, was a political decision. Look at the consequences of these political decisions. Enormous consequences because of a political decision. There are many other examples I can put on the table, but
or political indecision. He wasn't really.
But politics matters, and
politics matters,
it is very important for young people to think that politics influence very much their lives, and turnout, participating, and being part of this process is not just for fun. It is a duty, it is a task, but it is concretely important for your own life.
Okay, there is we touched on Brexit. There is a question that just came in. Are you afraid that Brexit could lead other countries to want to leave too?
No. No, if we are able, first of all, to react. This is why my first point in this chat was Bratislava. It's very important. Please, no business as usual in Bratislava. No communique, as we read many communiques in the European Council with encourages, welcomes, and very weak words. Strong, commitments. Be aware of the historic moment and great and strong decisions. But it is true that if we don't have strong reactions, we can have some problems in other countries. Frankly speaking, I think the Brexit will be in the medium and long term, a big problem for the UK and for. I don't, frankly speaking, I can't agree those saying today, but look, nothing happened in the UK, so you can leave and no problem. But it is incorrect, because the UK is still member for all the effect of the European Union. So the problem will be, and this is always the problem of the short-termism of our political discussion. You have to think in a 3, 4, 5 years time.
You need to be a chess player.
When I said to Syria, Syria was a far away, long term, without any. Look at the consequences in our lives, in our political landscape today, of the lack of management of the Syrian problem.
Let me get back briefly to what you said in terms of the Bratislava communiqué. If you had to write it, what would you put in there? 3 priorities, 3 things that you would like really, that would show that there is actually a change of mood and a change, and it's not business as usual, as you said.
I think, first of all, in Bratislava they have to say that Brexit is a dossier, the divorce negotiations is a dossier that Michel Barnier will follow, but now they turned the page, the 27, and they say we are in a post-Brexit mood, so go forward. First big message, and not to start to discuss if the Council is the negotiator or the Commission is the negotiator, or we need a triangle, and that would be a mess. Second, I think we need a very strong decision on some of the most critical issues today, controversial issues: investment, growth, youth unemployment, and. In my view, 2 ideas are: the first one is that finally the Juncker plan is there, is starting to work. Why don't strengthening him, passing him from 315 billions to 700 billions? That would be, in my view, a good signal that we are on the right direction. The right direction is to raise investments in Europe and to get growth, jobs, and on youth, that is in the southern European countries, the main concern, we have to give to the European youth the idea that we learn the lesson of the youth guarantee period, where peanuts were there. We have to launch a big plan on youth, similar to the big Erasmus period. The Erasmus period changed the mood of the European youth and the mood of Europe. It became one of the symbols, the positive symbols of Europe. So we have to launch now, similar to Erasmus, a big plan of youth on many issues: education, jobs, apprenticeships. There are many proposals, but they have to put money there. They can do it, because the alibi that the UK will say no because of the budget is no more there. So no alibi, go forward.
For the Erasmus generation. Okay, I think we can reach a close. I don't see, there are a few other questions, but we're running out of time. Thank you very much, Enrico Letta. Let's hope the leaders will listen to common sense people, former leaders in Bratislava, and we'll see you for the next chat. Thank you.